What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God. Welcome to Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman, and with me virtually today is a dear friend, an amazing woman of God, Ashley Daly Smith. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Hi, Peyton. It's great to be on. I love you so much. I'm so happy to finally get to be on your podcast.
This is so fun. Oh my gosh. Okay. You are taking the music industry, the talent that has been just cultivating, especially in Christian artists. I mean, I feel like you're just kind of launching and taking it by storm right now. So for folks who don't know you, talk a little bit about just who you are, what you're doing, your work in music, and a little bit of background on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So number one, I'm a child of God. I love to start with that because I think oftentimes when you have an executive brain or a brain that's constantly multitasking and holding a lot of capacity, we start to define ourselves by the things we do. So number one, my first identity, child of God, daughter of the King of Kings, right? And then second, what I do, I work for myself. I started a business called Breakroom17, and I have a few part-time employees. I manage artists. I consult for other management companies. And we recently just put out an artist development course. So now I'm working with artists all over the country that I've met or that I haven't met, and helping them get their music off as well. So it's been a really exciting time in my business, and I've just been enjoying every second of it. It's been great. And then I recently got married, so I am a wife as well. In addition to being a child of God and then starting a business, I am now a full-blown wife, doing marriage and the whole thing. And I also am a dog mom. You know, happy Mother's Day to all the dog moms out there.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh. So tell us, music, just tell us how this music journey started, because, did you go to school for music? Was this always the thing you wanted to do? Did you even know, artist management was a thing? How did that even come about for you?
Yeah, no, I did not go to school for music at all. I actually went to USC, fight on, in LA for business. I was a business administration and entrepreneurship concentration degree, and I loved it. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love starting businesses. It's definitely scratches the part of my brain that builds businesses. I've always been like that as a kid too. I've always been very entrepreneurial. I started lots of little businesses and nonprofits as a kid. That was just something I found fun. But I actually was playing semi-pro tennis. That was my goal. My goal was to be the artist. It was to be on stage in that way, like performing for thousands of people on stadiums, playing tennis. That was the goal. And I actually accomplished a good chunk of that. I played some of the good semi-pro tournaments, and I got recruited to play at USC. So I went to USC, I got into the business school, and God pulled tennis away from me because I really, we talked about identity at the beginning. I had really made my identity playing tennis. My whole being was, I'm a tennis player, I'm an athlete. I get good grades and I perform well on the court. And when I lose, it completely tears me up inside. And so God had to remove that from my life, reteach me my identity. And then he called me into music in the middle of all that mess. He called me into music, and I had grown up in the suburbs of LA, and my family had consistently been like, no industry, no entertainment industry, no industry at all. And so I was like, sure, my siblings are the ones that have the creative talents. They're the singers. They're the ones that produce music. I was fine not being in the industry, because I was an athlete, I didn't need to be. But then when the Lord called me into music, I dropped everything and I ran after what he had asked me to do. And it was pretty crazy. It definitely jarred my family dynamics. It, shook up everything in my business world. I was about to accept job offers in the six figures right out of college, the whole 9 yards. And and I've been running with it ever since. So no, I did not go to school for music. But I did learn a lot in school about music because USC has so many artists that go to their pop program through Thornton. It's one of the best music
Yeah.
programs in the whole country. So I learned a ton being an auxiliary to those people and just rubbing shoulders with all these industry kids. So that was really fascinating.
I love that. Well, and I love how you said, I was about to go accept these job offers, 6-figure jobs right out of college. That was the track I was going on. And the Lord, like you said, called you into music. What was that like when how did you know? So for folks, when we say the Lord called me into something, not everyone who's watching or listening is going to know what that means. So for you, what did that look like, that transition from playing tennis and doing business and then shifting gears and going into, actually, I'm going to be going into the music industry. You're still in business, so he didn't take you so far, but it's a whole different industry, a whole different train of thought. What was that like to lay down tennis and then say, oh, I'm actually going to go to music, an industry I've never touched before?
Oh my gosh, Peyton. It was the worst heartbreak I've ever experienced in my life. And I've had some really tough
Yeah.
breakups. I've had family members
Yeah.
die. Like, this was the worst heartbreak I had ever experienced. Not to be dramatic, but it
Wow.
was
But it was. It
horrible. It was
was.
absolutely horrible because again, my entire identity as a child and a teenager was in performance on the court and in school. And so when
Yeah.
God started shifting like the things that I had typically identified with away, and he started shifting me into this new season I hadn't been in before, where I wasn't known or good at something that I just dedicated 17 or
Yeah.
18 years of my life to. That was a whole thing. I had to completely
Wow.
rewrite who I was as a person with the Lord. And the first thing he taught me was being a child of God. He was like, you are a daughter. You're my
Yeah.
daughter. That's the first thing you need to know. And everything else after that is
Yeah.
my choice for you, but it's not your identity.
Ooh.
It's just what I want you to do right now because you're not what you do. You're who you are by blood. It's the
Yeah.
bloodline. I'm now a daughter. I've been adopted into his family. So that was completely world altering for me. But it was really hard. I had
Yeah.
definitely idolized this dream I had of playing tennis at a very high level. I had, achieved certain things and pushed really hard to get there. There was a lot of pride there. There was a lot of ego there. And it's not
Yeah.
like I was even like ranked in the best in the country. I had all this pride and ego just pursuing something that made me excited. So God really had to do a lot of character work on me in that time as well, which was very painful. He took a lot away. He really stripped me down to the basics of who I
Mm.
was as a person without other achievements and how he had created me to be and built me up from there. So obviously, when we think of gardening, we think of like if
Yeah.
I was to take this plant and I was like, oh, okay, well, I want the plant to grow this way. And right now it's growing this way. I have to now chop off all of this. And the plant is not going to like that. It's going to hurt. It's going to definitely
Yeah.
be painful for that plant to now start to grow that way when it's been growing this way. So it was definitely tough. But at the same time, I felt like I knew God in a way after all of this had started happening and things were starting to be pulled away from me. I felt like I knew God in a way that I had never known him before. We were close
Wow.
and we had a personal relationship, but God was not my everything. And then he became my everything.
Yeah.
And he really built a firm foundation for me to grow in. So I'm eternally grateful for that time in my life, even though it was extremely
Wow.
painful. I really do believe that God is faithful to do what he says he will do with your life. And I do believe at the same time that pain is not brought into your life unless there is a purpose behind the pain he brings into our lives. So, because everything passes
Yeah.
through his hands, everything. So it's hard to
Yeah.
reconcile when you're going through pain. It's hard to reconcile that with purpose. But I just always had this belief that God would take care of me and that he would bring purpose out of the pain that was happening in my life. And he did, and he does.
Yeah.
Every time, like clockwork.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, and it's so great. I mean, for you, so take that performance mindset that you were in, which I think is so, first of all, thank you so much for sharing the vulnerability of that, because I think so many people, men and women, really struggle with that. Like that is actually and undoing that is a very conscious thing that we have to do with the
Right.
Lord. but stepping into that, you had this performance mindset of like, oh, I can achieve this, and I can do this, and I'm good at it, and I can get accolades, and I'm getting the affirmations from people and, from yourself. How translate that for me? Like, what was that like then for the Lord to take you to start working with performers? I mean, you were going to start working with musical artists. So like, how has that carried over for you?
Yeah, I mean, two things. When God brought me into music, he told me that my dreams were too small. I had these dreams of playing stadiums, and he said that that was too small. He said, my narrow thinking has put me in this pigeonholed life, and that's not what he wants for me. And at the time, that was really hard to receive because I was like, what do you mean? This is the best thing for me because I know what's best for me. And he was like, I know. I know what's best for you, Ashley. And so that was a trust test. That was a really tough process to like start to really trust him with my life, not just say it with my lips, but actually trust him. And so I think
live it out.
Yeah, live it out. And so I think that when I went into music, I could really relate to these artists because I had this dream of, a talent-based dream. And the Lord had shifted me into serving others and helping their dreams come true when my dream hadn't come true. So there was a lot of death to self. There was a lot of in the Christian faith. We talk a lot about the flesh and how you have to kill off the flesh and let the spirit live. And it's dramatic, but that's a way of saying like the former life, the life before Jesus, is no longer what I serve. I serve the Lord. And so what he wants, he gets from my life because I've laid it down. And so I think in a lot of ways, music became this consistent every single day, daily laying down process for me because I was now serving others and helping their dreams come true. And I really related to the struggles they had. I related to the journey. I related to the process. It's made me an extremely loyal manager because I want their dreams to come true, oftentimes more than they do. Partly because I understand the weight of it. And I think that also was really important for the Lord to bring me through that process of knowing what it's like when a dream doesn't come true. Because a lot of times pursuing a career in the music industry, it's not guaranteed success. The success rates are very small, even smaller in some cases than professional sports and athletics. So it's not something that's an easy thing to, make happen. It's definitely whether or not God has a call in your life for it, which I love about the music industry, but it definitely, brings in this external factor of it's not A plus B equals C. It's I could do A really well, I could do B really well, and C never happens for me, even though I did A and B really well. It's not this and this equals this, which in business and in entrepreneurship, when you have a product or you're working a job, your performance equals the output, right? It gives you something in exchange, and in music, it doesn't. So I think I really related to that as a professional, a semi-pro athlete previously, and someone who played with the goal of playing college sports and playing after college on this pro tour. I really understood what artists were going through. And again, God, he took something away from me that then resulted in something better. So now, fast forward from that point, I was 19 when all of that happened. A decade later, I'm now on tour, seeing stadiums, worshiping Jesus, thousands and thousands of people. And I remembered in that moment, I felt like God was like, see, you are playing stadiums. It's just not the way that you thought you would play stadiums. And I kind of had this mind-blowing moment where I was like, oh, you told me I would play stadiums, but it wasn't the way I thought. And that's just so often what God does, because we just dream so small. We only know so much, and God knows everything. So I'm really grateful that he took me through that process, and that he, even though it was painful, he brought me through that redefining possible moment. And
Well, and it's true because, I mean, I know pieces of your story, and I know you've gotten to literally tour and meet some of the biggest Christian artists in the world. And that is wild, and it's incredible. And so I love that, you're standing in stadiums, you're a part of this massive thing, and you are playing stadiums. It's just you're not playing tennis in a stadium. You are, and like you said, you're helping build other people's dreams, but you also can identify with what they're walking through. And I think that ability to identify, that's so rare in a manager, in many ways. I think that's something very unique for the music industry, for artists to experience. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that's something people have talked to you about.
Yeah, I think that it's professional athletics, and well, I wasn't a pro athlete. I was semi-pro. So let's not get into it. I wasn't out there with Maria Sharapova and Serena Williams playing tennis. But I wanted to be. I wanted to be. So there, it's very like the things you go through are similar, right? You're pursuing this big dream that has a high failure rate. And on top of that, you're strapped for money, you're self-funding, you're traveling all over the world, taking every opportunity that you can get. It's very scrappy. It's very entrepreneurial in nature. That process made me a great entrepreneur. And it also made me relatable to artists who have to fund their own businesses. They have to get their music out there. They have to take every opportunity they can. They're on the road touring 24/7 and still trying to maintain some level of mental and emotional well-being while going through that process. I was with an artist this morning who was telling me he had to squeeze his wedding into a 10-day gap between tours.
Oh my gosh.
Wedding,
my gosh.
He had to
his wedding
on a Monday. He got married on Friday. He was back out on the road literally a few days later. So it's that lifestyle and that grind of trying to accomplish something that the Lord has put on your heart. It's not to be taken as easy. It's not easy. And I think that my mindset as a athlete really helped transfer to what artists do when they're trying to be successful. They really take on a lot of that athlete mentality of like, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to continue moving forward no matter what happens. I'm going to see this through. Like those are very athlete minded, or those are very athletic mentalities, I think.
They are. And for you too, it's so interesting because, you know, as you started to work with artists, and like, let's chat about that, because you made this pivot, you started working with artists, you had the mindset of, hey, this is not going to be easy. We got to put in the grind. But I will say, just as someone who has friends in this industry, there are a lot of people that are coming into music, they're coming into art, they're high creatives, they're dreamers, and they don't consider the cost. Like they don't consider the work that's going to have to go into making this dream happen. And so I think at some point the bubble can kind of burst for people. So maybe like, let's talk about that. Just what was it like as you started to work with artists? What did you see, mindsets? Were there dynamics that were tricky with you coming in as a manager and artists coming in, as the high creatives that they are? Like how have you balanced that?
Yeah. Typically when I work with an artist, their brain is, well, there are some similarities, right? And we're relatable to each other. An artist's brain is the exact opposite from a manager's brain in a lot of ways. Because the manager is acting as this executive running a business. They're acting as someone executing on the artist's behalf. They're taking what the artist says and hopefully going out there and trying to bring it to life. While the artist is the product focused person. They're the founder of the business. They're trying to create the best product possible and then go and market it to people and showcase their personality. And their face is the face of the brand and the image and the business. So you have these two dynamic duos together that are complete opposites in a lot of ways, and you somehow have to figure out a way to work together and to communicate effectively with one another and to get things done together, even though you guys are complete opposites. So you find middle ground, and for me, the middle ground was my faith. All of the artists I managed were believers, whether they were in secular music or they were in Christian music. So I was able to find this amazing middle ground of, hey, we're all here to further the gospel. We're all here to make the kingdom greater than it is today and to make the name of Jesus known around the world. So let's come together and move forward. I think that if I was not a believer and I wasn't working with Christians, it would be really, really hard to find common ground, because that common ground is money, that common ground is success, that common ground is fame, that common ground are the accolades that come with a career in the music industry, or the presence that you like now have when you walk into a room and people know that you manage so-and-so, or that you're this artist, or you just sold out this arena. Like that's what they're chasing, and that's their common ground. And that's really hard, I think, because it is so focused on you. It's focused on your ego, your own
Yeah.
accolades. And the more you focus on yourself, the more your life gets so small and you start to feel the effects of that, you know?
It does. That's so good. And I love the point of, artists and managers have to have common ground. It's just a matter of what are you finding your common ground in? And just, is it money? Is it fame? Is it how many thousands of people are going to attend your concert? Or is it your faith? And then everything else is building out from that.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful
And
to
music
share.
is an incredible industry because it's the most influential form of entertainment out there. Sports, tennis, even, you're going to serve millions of people. You're going to serve millions of people being a tennis superstar. But being in the music industry, you're talking billions. You're now influencing the world when you step into the music category. And I think that a lot of people come to that for their own selfish reasons. They want the things we're talking about that serve themselves and not necessarily something that serves a higher purpose, a higher calling. And so you get a lot of bad actors in music because of that self-service nature. It puts a lot of our flaws as humans on display in front of the world, so it's interesting working on Christian projects, being in the music industry, whether in secular or Christian music, because again, you're coming to the table with people trying to, again, accomplish one thing that's greater than yourself. And that's always, it gives you the fuel that you need to wake up in the morning, because at some point your ego and your pride and the things you've accomplished aren't going to be enough to keep you motivated. At some point it runs out. No matter, you have the most money in the world, the most, opportunities to get married with different partners. You have all the things you could ever want, and it's still not going to satisfy the way that Jesus does, the way that the walk that Christians have with God satisfies. There's nothing better than waking up in the morning and being like, okay, God, let's get stuff done today. What do you want me to do today? What furthers the kingdom that you built, God? Let's further your kingdom, not my kingdom.
It's so good. No, it's so good. Well, and it made me think about, you've been doing this for a decade, over a decade now.
Since I was 19. It's crazy.
Which is crazy. It's crazy. But also, obviously in that decade, just as you were saying, there's moments where you kind of come to the end of yourself. But in that decade, it hasn't always been easy. And, were there moments for you where you were like, Lord, do you still want me to do this? Like, is this still the dream? Is this still what am I doing the right thing? Like, talk about that. Like, were there moments where it just was like, because everyone's going to hit that point at some point in their career journey, their life. What was that like? Was there one moment or multiples, and kind of what was that like for you?
These are amazing questions. I just want to stop. These are amazing questions. I love these questions. I can tell that you really thought through the conversation. What story do you want? There have been a bazillion times where I feel like at the same time, every day I wake up and I'm like, should I still work in music, God? Is that still what you want? Like, I do that every day because it really is such a hard place to be. I will say the times that I have wanted to quit, or it looks like there wasn't a way forward, God always brought about something new so that I could take that next step. So I think in a lot of ways, he did that for my own faith walk and journey with him. It was less, necessarily about me being in music or not being in music. And it was more about me trusting him and asking him to help me get to the next step. So I feel like, and too, when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, there's like a dichotomy within yourself. There's a lack of peace.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, you can feel it. And I think that with tennis, I started to feel that, but I didn't want to acknowledge it because I had put so much time into it, and it became my identity. But with music, since I've given my dreams to the Lord, I can wake up every day and say, okay, God, is today the day you want the music industry back for yourself? I'm not going to do it anymore. Do you want me to still be a part of it? And he says, nope, you're still in music. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, And I think that there's a lot of freedom for me in that. I have the freedom as a manager to serve my artists with everything in me, because I know that I'm not just serving them, I'm serving God, and he's asked me to be there today. You know, he's asked me to show up for them today, and to show up for my consulting clients, and to show up for my course members. So I think that that's been a daily walk. It's not has there ever been a time where you thought about quitting? Like, yes, of course. It also comes up in my head every day, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. That's because it's not my identity. That's because it's laid down before God. At the same time, I have faith. I have goals that I want to achieve in music. I have things that I want to do. I work really hard because I have certain things I want to get to, certain milestone markers. So I think both can kind of be held at the same time, and it's okay to get disappointed when those things don't happen as well. So it's I think you can have that freedom, but also expect the best at the same time. You know, you can have the freedom of being like, okay, every day's a new day. What do you want me to do, Lord? Am I still doing what I'm doing? But you can also be grounded in setting quarterly goals, setting yearly goals, and trying your hardest to accomplish those things. Because I think both give glory to God. I think that both honor him.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I love that the way that I hear you talking about it is just, you know, you're holding it. You're not waking up every day and being like, should I still do this from a fear-based place? But you're waking up every day open-handed, and you're just saying, Lord, like, okay, is this still the thing you have for me? Okay, and he says yes. It's like, okay, we keep going. Let's go keep doing this together. And I love
and sometimes it's not an audible yes. Sometimes it's like a, you know, I don't feel like doing what's on my calendar, but I go do it, and it really either blesses me or someone else. And I get that feeling of, okay, I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing today. You know,
this is where I'm supposed to be.
So I think on the days where I feel like quitting, or when I hit horrible disappointments in my career, which there have been too many to count on my fingers, like there have just been so many. I think that those days, my process isn't the healthiest. I'm still working on this. I'll kind of hide it from God when I go through a disappointment. I'll be like, okay, you know, if God and I don't talk about it, it didn't happen. I don't actually have to.
Oh, wow.
I don't have to process it. I don't have to be in pain, because it might, you know, I'm in denial, right? I'm like, it didn't happen if God and I don't talk about it, but it happened. And I need to talk about it.
You're like, no, it was still there.
But it happened. And so I've been actually working on that, and taking the really disappointing and discouraging moments in my career to the Lord, and not pretending like they're not there, and taking them to him.
That's so good.
I'm really disappointed about this. Like, should I still be doing this? Should I still be walking this out? And sometimes he doesn't answer that day. Sometimes he doesn't answer that week. Sometimes it takes weeks for him to answer. But I think that that's where, as believers, we can learn to have faith. Like, that's where faith, that muscle of faith, is built in those times. So it's kind of like what Paul wrote, like, consider it all joy, because the testing of your faith produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces the fruit of what God's doing in your life. So I think that it's kind of like, again, I feel like God, he wants me in music. I know that, but at the same time, he wants me to become the woman he created me to be, even more than he wants me in music, or he wants me to do my thing today. He wants my character to grow. He wants me to become the woman he created me to be. So I feel like it's more about that in those moments when I can really,
definitely.
He's allowing the disappointment. He's allowing the discouragement, because he has something better for me on the other side of it that I don't know about. But that in between period is where my muscle of faith is built, you know?
The in-between, that liminal space is always, it's for all of us. It is, it's so stretching. It's so stretching. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about just as you were speaking is the level of perseverance, the level of endurance that really the Lord's built up in you. And now through your course, you're really able to teach that to so many others. So maybe, can you talk about the course for a minute and just how this came about? Like, I mean, you clearly, there is nothing like it that's in the industry that I've ever seen. So maybe talk a little bit about what it is and how this happened.
I'm so excited about this course, Peyton. Number one, because it took me a year to finish. So I'm excited that it's out there, because it took a long time to finish it. And at the same time that I was building the course, I was getting married. I was moving two different states. So that it was a whole very busy time in my life. So I'm happy that the course is out there, that people can use it. And yeah, to talk a little bit about it, basically, I took my brain and everything I've learned the last decade of being in music as a manager and working with artists and working with different management companies and labels and put it down in video and written format. So when an artist takes the course, hopefully this artist is wanting to pursue music full time. So they buy the course, they start the course, and it has an intro video, it has a table of contents video, so they kind of know what they're about to get themselves into. And then it dives into artist development, it dives into administration, it dives into registration as far as their songs so they can actually get paid. It dives into content creation and marketing best practices. It takes them through mental health best practices. It takes them through the different ways they can make money in the music industry and how best to set up their business and their LLC. So it's really like all of the things that I do with one of my clients within the first 1 to 3 years down on paper with all of the assignments that I would give my artists. So it's super in depth. It definitely takes a while. I've had people in this course now for 4 weeks. It only came out a week and a half ago, but I've had people in there for 4 weeks or 5 weeks because I opened it up to a small group of people to beta test it and also to get their feedback. And they're still not done.
So smart.
Well, yeah, it was amazing, the feedback I got, but they're still not done. So it's super in depth, and I wanted it to be that way because the reality of my situation as manager is I can only manage a certain number of people, but I have all this knowledge and all this stuff in my brain that I've learned. And all my friends were texting me, hey, can you manage me? Can you help me? And I was like, I can't, I don't have capacity. I don't have time. And I would write down plans for them, and then they would work. The plan that I would give them would work.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I need to put this out so people could take these things that I've learned that are working for my friends and actually use them, so that they're not being taken advantage of by a manager who says, oh, I can make you famous if you give me this much money or if you sign this deal. Like now they're going to learn how to do it themselves. And in entrepreneurship school, they tell you never to hire someone unless you know how to do the job first. So as an artist, if you're starting a business, don't bring on a manager unless you know how to manage. Like unless you've managed yourself a little bit and you know what it's going to take to build this business, don't bring on somebody, because now you're bringing on somebody that, number one, doesn't know you and doesn't know the business, your business, because you haven't built it. But then number two, you're putting yourself in a position where you could get taken advantage of. So it's really served a dual purpose of educating artists, also educating managers, production designers, entrepreneurs. I have so many different people in this course that are not artists.
What I think is so interesting is, honestly, just listening to this, so many managers would gatekeep that information. That managers that have been doing this for a long time, they would be like, oh no, I'm not going to create a course. That's personal information. That's why I want them to hire me. And the thing is that people are still hiring you as a manager. It's just, like you said, you only can take on so many clients at the moment. And frankly, you want to help so many more with just kind of basic knowledge of, hey, let's talk about registration, what that means. Let's talk about what it looks like to create your business, at least to the level that they can, as they bring on a manager, ask that manager educated questions and double check, what's being done. So it's not so that they can all become managers, but it is so that they actually understand enough to know what questions to ask, what should be happening, that they're actually able to have these more educated conversations without having to learn things the hard way.
Oh yeah, no, I was just talking to someone. We do these weekly calls on Fridays, right? So I was just on my weekly call with my course members before jumping on this podcast, and one of the course members had made a critical error in social media world and wasn't getting the views that she wanted. And I jumped in and I was like, you're doing this, this, and this wrong. You need to change this, go get this, and do it this way. And that would have taken her a month 2 months to figure out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
another manager that was on the call, because again, I don't just have artists in this course, which is so funny to me, but I have another manager, and she jumped in and she was like, oh my gosh, you like you got to do this. And so she's now jumping in and helping and giving advice.
Oh, they're helping each other.
Yeah,
I love it.
So now it's like this community helping each other and building each other and making sure that each person in the course has what they need in order to be successful. So that's been really cool to see. But yeah, that would have taken her a while. And right now, too, with the extent of what you can do with AI, I don't know. So for me, if I was an artist, I would want someone who had a trusted brand and had been doing this and knew the people in the industry, because so much of the music industry is contacts. And I don't think that's really going to change because it's still people running the industry. It's just one of those, businesses. But I would want someone who had that trusted, verified brand. And you can only get so far with AI. Like, I will ask ChatGPT certain questions and it will give me back information, and a lot of it is good. It's all good, but some of it is incorrect, or some of it is wrong.
And that's important. That's important to point out too.
That can be the difference between being successful or not in the music industry. So I wanted to create a resource where someone could listen to a person talk and hear how I built up my clients from just a few thousand Instagram followers to, hundreds of thousands, or just a few, $100 a month to thousands of dollars in revenue every month, and hundreds of thousands every year. So like, I think that process, it's like storytelling, you're like, this worked for this person, this worked for this person. Let's try this for you. Let's workshop these things. And right now, with where AI is at, it's not serving the population like that. It's just a bank of information. It's a resource that tells you what to do, but not necessarily how to do it. And then if it tells you how to do it, it doesn't tell you who to do it with. And then if it tells you who to do it with, it doesn't give you their contact information. And then if it gives you their contact information, it's not setting the meetup up for you. It's not showing up with you to take that meeting. So I think that I wanted something that felt like I was showing up with the artist. It felt like they had backup from a human perspective. So this is a little tangent about AI.
No, I love it. Well, and AI is so, being in tech as I am, it's, I'm in the AI world a lot, but, I see it in music, and I think you hit on something that's really important that I've been talking to folks in other industries about, is just, hey, I still want to use my brain. Like, you still need to think. You still need to question what you read. You still need to say, like, okay, is this accurate? Is this true? Is this because, don't just assume that because it's what ChatGPT is spitting out, that is correct. So I think that's a really, really important thing.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll bring my chat. I'll say, "Oh,
love it. We love Jarvis."
Jarvis from Iron Man. So, oh, Jarvis, you got that wrong. It's actually this. And go, oh, you're right. Sorry, my bad. And I'm like, oh wait, that would have been a huge mistake. Like,
no, it's not even close to that right now. No, for sure not. Yeah.
But that being said, I used to be in tech. Those job offers I was referring to, one of them was in tech at a software company back in 2019. Like that, I get it. My dad was in tech. I grew up, my dad was part of the AI revolution. He created some of the technology they're using to create AI. So I understand that world. I get it. I speak the lingo. To me, it's a tool, and it will always be a tool, because the human mind, even though you have a large learning model like AI, you're putting all this information into that LLM and you're getting information back. It doesn't, the human brain is so miraculous. It doesn't compete. Now, we can't remember all the things AI can remember. We can't scrub the internet the way AI can scrub the internet. And that's where it becomes a tool. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I don't want to take the week that it would take to read all these papers. Let me put it all here, or ask that question that gives me that information. And now I'm going to make critical decisions based on what I'm learning, So I think that's how I would anticipate it continues to work in the music world. I did see, though, that a music company just put out an AI manager. They specifically said, you don't need another course. And I was like, did they see my course?
You're like, but you do. Like, actually.
Because I've seen managers try to do what I'm doing right now in the past, and they get so much flack. Other managers and other industry people, they'll come for you if you try to create a what I've created, this course. They don't like when you share information publicly. But I think that having ChatGPT around and having AI around has really helped with that, because now it's like, okay, I'm not gatekeeping information. These people can find out this information on their own using a resource or a tool like ChatGPT. Right. Now I'm just telling them how to use that information and what to do.
Yes. I think that's great.
I think I've gotten a lot less flack than some of my coworkers or peers in the industry have in the past. But at the same time, I definitely also have seen some shade being thrown, intentionally or unintentionally, which is fine. Yeah. It's fine. I know that I'm doing good things for these artists, but that's been kind of fun.
Well, and how has all of this, this transition from tennis to music and now doing teaching through the course and, addressing AI in music as that develops as well, how is all of this, just this whole journey, how has it transformed like what you believe is possible for your life?
Yeah, I love that, because it ties us back to redefining possible.
It does.
Yeah, I don't think that, my view of what God could do in my life was so small compared to his view. So I want to come back to that. Like, I thought that, being one of the best athletes in the world and the best tennis player in the world, I thought that was the epitome of what I could do for God. And he disagreed. He was like, no, it's not about what you can do for me. It's about what I've done for you. That's the whole point.
I'm so good.
Because of that, I just want to love you. That's it. You don't have to do anything. And so for an achiever and, a type 8 on the Enneagram, I'm technically actually a split between 2 and 8. But for someone like me who's very motivated by wanting success and achieving things, that was a really big flip in my brain. And so once that started settling through all the pain of moving away from my athletic career into the music industry, and also, working in tech in the middle of that, it really started to take hold. This new belief and this new identity system started to take root and take hold and inform everything else that I did in my life. So that really redefined possible for me. And now, a decade later, getting to see the fruit of all of that time and effort, because most people are not going to try to make something work for 10 years. Like, I've been trying music and Breakroom17 and my clients' careers work for a decade. And I'm finally now seeing fruit. And I've been seeing a little bit of, I've been seeing a little bit over the years, but I'm finally now starting to see what God had been seeing.
Yes.
Said, hey, lay down tennis. I have something better for you. So on the flip side of that, choosing to trust him, choosing to follow him and let him redefine possible in my life, redefine what my life was even supposed to be about, that really helped me to experience a full and abundant life that I didn't even imagine for myself. I never wanted to be in entertainment. I didn't want to be in music. I even got asked right after I got dropped from the tennis team at USC. I even got asked a couple of weeks later by a friend of mine who has since sold his company to Scooter Braun, which he was just a manager. So he's had a lot of success. He asked me if I wanted to be an artist manager. He was like, hey, you'd be a great artist manager. And I looked at him, I was like, no, don't want to do that.
Wow.
I've seen the industry. Yeah. And here we are. So he was,
and here we are. He was right. But that's, that's okay. He saw something in you that you couldn't see in yourself yet.
I didn't even have any perception. I had no idea what was best for me. So letting God redefine my possible, letting God redefine my dreams, letting God redefine what was possible in my life, it's opened up this like massive life in front of me that I had no clue I could even have or have access to. I had no clue.
It's so beautiful. And I get so excited just knowing you and getting to kind of share this journey and, cheer alongside you of everything that the Lord's doing in your life. So for folks that are listening in, how can they reach you? Like, how can they get the course? How can they connect with you? There's just so many resources that you have out there for folks. So what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so a couple different ways. I would start with social media. That's the easiest way to follow along. The course is linked in Breakroom17 and my own personal Instagram bios. So that would be at Breakroom17 and at Ash All Daily. You can find it on any social media platform. And it's through a company called School. So you're looking for that School link on the bio. And as far as getting in contact with me directly, my email for Breakroom17 is hello@breakroom17.com. And that comes to my assistant that then passes to me. So that's been super helpful too, just being able to pass that out as a resource in case people need to contact me.
I love it. That's amazing. Well, and you do, just to clarify for people, if they DM you on Instagram, you do respond. It is you. You will answer and get back to them.
I don't have anyone running my personal Instagram besides me. Breakroom's Instagram, I do have a little bit of help here and there, but most of the time, if I'm replying, I will say it's from me on that account.
From Ashley, yeah. And they can connect with you and go. And that's true for artists, maybe other managers, labels, anybody in the industry that wants to learn more, wants to connect with you directly. I think that's just, you have a lot of different areas for them to do that. And you've got so much knowledge to offer. So Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been amazing. I mean, I've learned more and I've known you. So it's really amazing. I'm just so grateful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Peyton. I love what you're doing. I love that you're platforming people to tell their stories and to tell about how God has been faithful to them to redefine possible. So thank you for redefining possible in my life.
Oh my gosh, my girl, absolutely. I'm so excited. So thank you all for joining us today. This has been an incredible episode of Redefining Possible. Again, I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman. Stay tuned. Can't wait to talk to you next time.
What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God.